Hotep uh, and Black Power to whoever is actually looking at this or listening to it. Um, it's my first time going live since I think July, and I think it's now more than time of any to actually go live. Um, I'm going to talk about the whole R. Kelly situation. I'm going to talk about some other things too that's centered around that, and that's even bigger than the R. Kelly situation. Um, I think this is like we really need to be um, we need to really be honest about a lot because we're not honest with ourselves. We tend to see things, and then what happens is we tend to go with what we're promoted to as black people, whatever word you want to use at this point. Now, I'm gonna give you a prime example of that. Because we're real good at having selective outrage over situations. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go right into the R. Kelly situation now. Give my whole take on it, and so people can understand. You know. So let me see. I see some people waving. T. Davis is waving. Nefe Lee Trace is waving back. Hopefully, I get these waves. Let's see. Wave, bam. All right. Yeah, because part of that is covering the bottom half of my face, so I'll wave back. But yeah, let's get into it. Um, but first of all, I wanna shout out the brother. I think his name is Rizza's Islam, because someone sent me something today and made it real good sense. The things that he was saying, it was like, wow, he was on point with the R. Kelly situation. Um, he wasn't taking up for R. Kelly, and I'm not going to take up for R. Kelly in this situation at all. So don't misread what I'm saying here, because people who know me know I'm not taking up for him at all. I think people knew R. Kelly was a pedophile years ago, and people know what he's doing now to this day. Just realize again, R. Kelly still has women that are captive in his home, and there's no doors being bust down at all. None. No doors are being bust down. Just think about that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go into what Master P said first before I even go into my little diatribe. Um, he said something made a lot of sense. I was like, damn, Master P was on some real stuff. He said, shit, if these parents want their kids back so bad that R. Kelly has, why are they not busting the door down? Why are they not trying to blow up the building? Why are they not trying to bust it through and get a, get a truck to go through the building? You know what I'm saying? Like, some of that is just not adding up. Like, even though I watched all 6 parts, and a lot of those parts was very gruesome, very gruesome to watch, man, very gruesome, But he really made a point. Now, the thing is that one thing I noticed was, I'm gonna go into the whole the docu series as well. Let me just give my honest take on it. They said that, okay, there was nothing that they can do, because once they get to a certain age, if they're not complaining about being kidnapped, then there's nothing that the cops can actually do. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, damn. Oh, I'm gonna go into Hugh Hefner. I saw that. No, I'm gonna get into a lot. That's why I've named this Open Secret. This is gonna be a really general point being made on this live. But it was really like, certain things was just really telling. Cause I'm gonna be really honest here. I'm gonna be very honest. There was no way that the family of Aaliyah could have known what R. Kelly was going to do, because they trust this man. He was already in the industry from he's already made a hit album with from his first album, which was Public Announcement, before it was 12 Play. He had the song Honey Love, which was like his, to that point, was his biggest hit before 12 Play came out. So Aaliyah's family was like, well, shoot, let's sign him, let's roll with R. Kelly. Shoot, he's already hitting it. So I was like, damn, makes sense. How would they have known that he was going to do that to their daughter? How would they know? They didn't know. So we can't put, because I see a lot of people like, what about the parents? What about the parents? What about the parents? And I'm like, well, Aaliyah's parents, I can't put Aaliyah's parents in that situation. I can't put her mom in that situation. Now, what I will say is it's kind of strange how after him being 27 and her being 15, that she because the marriage was annulled and she had a miscarriage, which was horrible. I mean, dude, R. Kelly, you a monster for that shit, bro. Let's keep it 100. You was a monster for that shit. And the mom is not even trying to like basically come out, because she wasn't on the docu-series. I found that kind of strange too. I was like, why is she not on here? That's weird. Because she should be one of the biggest people outraged about it. But then if you look further, it was just like, it's just weird. It was really weird to see that, because then again, you think about it. You had an Aaliyah movie made a couple of years ago, and the same thing was being talked about in the Aaliyah movie. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they were married and it was annulled. They found out they went and they were eloped, and then when the mother found out about it, she made sure that they annulled the marriage. But again, she ended up getting pregnant and ended up having a miscarriage by a man who was 27 and she was 15 years old. That's a fact you can't run from. I'm sorry. Then you had some situations that it was like, okay, at a certain point, it's stuff I didn't know. Again, I didn't know that this man had child porn in his home. He was collecting child porn. He was the one that was filming it. It was really, really screwed up for him to do something like that. But again, there's one part also that people don't want to talk about is in the beginning of that movie, we find out that R. Kelly was, I didn't know this, maybe some people already knew, but R. Kelly was molested. He was molested since the age of 7, severely by a woman and a man. You follow what I'm saying? And so, why is that not being talked about? You know what I'm saying? Which is not giving him an excuse, but that's a reality that he's never dealt with psychologically. And this is a reality as well. And I have to put my own business out there. There were pictures that he took. Like as kid, as a child, you had the class picture, you had pictures in church that you saw, black and white pictures, and the looks on his face was like, wow, like you can tell that this individual was traumatized by this molestation and it was still going on, but you can also see shame on a child's face. I'm talking about R. Kelly, that he went through something as a child that he never actually dealt with. There's never been I'm sure he never went to a psychiatrist. Of course, he probably couldn't afford it when he was a child, even as a teenager, and probably never went when he was filthy rich. So he never actually dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? That's something that we can't throw that away. As much as we like to hate R. Kelly at this point, you can't throw away the fact that he was molested. But at the same time, that doesn't negate the man that he is, which is a monster at this point. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. But continuing what I'm saying, here's something that needs to be said. After a certain point, after the trial, and even during the trial, you had little girls that 14, 15 years old that he had, that was like super fans and all this other stuff. That was interviewed. Of course, she's a victim, but then you have to think about it like this. Even during a trial, there were little girls that were attracted to him, that saw him as like this god, and they were still trying to get to know this man. Even the fact that he was on trial for child porn, and this man was filming all this porn that he was putting together with these teenagers that they had evidence of. They played it in the They actually played it in the actual court, didn't they? Yeah, they did. So it was like, wow, this is a real serious issue, and that's not cool. You know, what's also not cool again is the fact that you got to understand something. Most child molesters was molested at some point in their life. That's a psychological fact. Here's the thing about also about molestation. You are going to either be a hard advocate against it if you were molested yourself, or you're going to end up taking on the same traits. Okay? When I saw the face that he had as a child, he was being groomed by somebody. A lot of what you saw in that, of course, most of us saw the docu-series on Lifetime, but things that was probably happening to him. So he learned from someone certain things that he never, like, never threw away. It was like he never, because he never dealt with it psychologically. And that's something that we have to also accept. We got to be honest with ourselves with things that we saw. It's just like, yo, that's some real shit, man. You know, we got to be honest about that. Now, there was a point where some of these parents already had an idea. Like towards the end of the docu-series, you had parents that were still they didn't. And the thing is, they didn't know that that their daughter was basically kidnapped and held by this man for for sex. They didn't know they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know. They just truly didn't know. And then it was too late. You had the one sister. She had the daughter that basically was groomed from being a woman to being a man. With the tattoos and the whole, and that was horrifying to watch because I'm like, then it goes back to a lot of the theories that a lot of people have. It's like, damn, like he took a woman and turned her into a boy. But that's something that pedophiles do. When they want to make you into something, they're gonna make you into something. That's some real shit that we don't know about because we don't do the research. All we do is have an outrage about something, but then we don't realize that monsters are created. Monsters are created. And our community, monsters 9 times out of 10 are created from some type of social environment that happened to them at some point, whether it be as a child or whether it be at a situation in prison. It's crazy. So with all these things being said, I'm gonna say this, and this is crazy. I'm seeing someone talk, but I'm not able to read what you're saying. I hate that. Let me see. Oh, it's Nife. It bothers me. I'm gonna read. So sometimes I'm gonna say this. When people say stuff on my live, sometimes I wasn't able to read it. So whatever you say, I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna respond to you through the live. So let me see. Nife Latrice said, it bothers me that so many women defend him. Everybody should be held accountable, but that does not take the responsibility off of him, period. There is no little girl fast enough to catch a grown ass man who isn't attracted to little girls in the first place. You're right about that. The thing is that you got to understand something too. We are very emotionally attached to R. Kelly. Just like we're very emotionally attached to Michael Jackson, just like we're emotionally attached to Bill Cosby. There's really no difference in that. It's nothing. I'm actually gonna go into R. Kelly as well. I mean, into Michael Jackson for a minute as well. But the thing is that again, all you have to do is talk about R. Kelly for a little bit, and you're gonna get some very strange responses because a lot of us is just like, damn. Like, damn, that's how we really feel about this? Let me see, your cousin, I had an old head when I was 17. He was 50. Man, that's wild. Give me a second. This stuff I gotta really think about because I want to get all this stuff right. But we gotta be really honest about the situation with R. Kelly, man. The one thing we have to stop doing, and I'm still, this is still my response to Nife Latrice, we gotta stop enabling shit. We are like the biggest enablers I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? We gotta, we're the biggest enablers of stuff. We love enabling really nasty behavior, and I'm not with that. I'm not with it at all. Um, we gotta stop it. You know what I'm saying? Like my thing is, if you're a pedophile, you should be under the ground. I don't give a fuck who you are. Take his ass, because I seen something from XXL magazine today on my page that they are actually now investigating R. Kelly. I'm like, you motherfuckers knew that R. Kelly had women hostage for several years, but then you wait for Viacom on, under the guise of, their daughter Lifetime to decide to say, okay, now we're outraged. So the cracker is outraged. Now you're outraged. No. Here's the thing. We have to also look at this situation as a lesson to ourselves. We have to start being more socially aware of what happens to our women and our children. We got to stop acting like we don't give a fuck. Now, if you don't give a fuck about kids, just be honest with yourself and stop acting like you do. You know what I'm saying? What happened to the women is wrong, and it's still going on to this day. I'm going to say this again. About to fall down. To this day, you still have women who are held hostage in his home. And I don't see a huge outcry from social media to bang down his door and blow that mom or whatever you need to do. Do you see that online? No. Now you have the Me Too movement and you have the Mute R. Kelly movement. But you never had a mute Kevin Spacey movement. You never had a mute there's a lot of pedophiles I can name right now. You never had a mute Elvis Presley movement. You never had a mute oh my God. You never had a let's take out Woody Allen shit. He molested and married his stepdaughter. He groomed her to be his wife. And she was underage, beyond underage. She was 14 years old. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it one. Let me see. Nife Latrice, if he's not keeping them hostage, why can't they talk to their family? Classic abusive move. You're right. Because the thing is, they don't want to speak to anybody else because he's groomed them to be totally dependent upon them. That's classic things that pedophiles do. You know what I'm saying? It's deep shit. You say, well, my daddy couldn't, my cousin said my daddy couldn't provide. He bought me all the newest sneakers in the 70s, just giving me the things my parents couldn't afford. And that what R. Kelly doing. But now that had broke everyone, want to cry, right? Well, I'm sorry. You my cousin, Steph the Chef, but R. Kelly's dead ass wrong. He's a pedophile. I'm sorry. We gonna have to say it. This is real. We real tonight. I'm sorry. He groomed children to be sex slaves. That's the real. I'm sorry. And his investigation, if they're gonna really investigate what's happening, they need to do something about it real. For real. They need to really get in his home and do what they need to do. If they're gonna do it, if we're gonna have to rely on the white man to solve our problems, whatever. The same thing with Lifetime. We had to wait till the white woman was outraged about the shit, and we had to have our outrage to the white woman and go do it. Which the thing is that if we don't have any place for black women and black children to go, then you can't get mad when you see them go to white people. It's just that simple. Now, with that being said, it's funny how white people can be the authority on pedophilia when they're the biggest pedophiles in the fucking world. Let's keep this shit real, man. Let's stop playing. This is the thing is, I never leave white people out of shit, and some people don't like that, and that's usually the coons. But yeah, I don't leave white folks out of shit. We learn from the best teacher in terms of demonic behavior. We have. We have. See, R. Kelly knew he was wrong for what he did in the courtroom. He couldn't even keep his head up. So he's wrong, and he should be sent to the gallows for what he did, because we have to. The thing is, in our community, we don't want corrective action. We like things the way it is. We like being around. We like negative behavior because we're used to it. You know, we used to go from being a culture to now a subculture. And see, we can keep saying. Let me see. I keep seeing someone say something about what about the parents? What are the parents? Well, a lot of the parents didn't know what was going on. I'm sorry, but they didn't know. And even after everything that was done, a lot of parents want their children out and they're trying to get the children out, but they don't. There's nothing they can do because R. Kelly has groomed them and he has manipulated them to be totally dependent upon them. That's the reality. I'm sorry. Let me see what my brother Morris said. Look at the story of the Pied Piper and you will see why he calls himself that. And you're right. And we got to be honest with that. Yeah, I'm gonna go in. Let me see. Female LaJoya would say good shit. No, don't leave the crack out of shit. And I will never do that. Cause then we're buck dancing around the actual issue, surviving the Catholic Church. Yeah, the Catholic Church should be on trial because they've been molesting boys and girls since their inception. You know what I mean? That's a. The Catholic Church will never be under investigation because pedophilia is the way of the world. You do realize that, right? Pedophilia is the way of the world. Pedophilia is the way of the European, and it has been the way of the European for years. I've had this conversation with brothers of mine, with sisters of mine. America has reinvented Rome. The white man wanted to reinvent Rome for 6,000 years. When Rome fell, they were trying to find a way to reinvent Rome. That's why in this society, sexuality is now become an open thing. You can do pretty much what you want in society and name it something. That's why you're going to have at some point minor attracted people becoming a sexual orientation. NAMBLA, which is under the guise of the LGBT community. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. It's the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. It's the truth. You can look this up yourself. Has been basically lobbying for pedophilia to be a sexual orientation for the past 15, 16 years. So the abuse of children is a normality in American society. Why do you think that Pizzagate has been removed from the minds and mouths of our people all of a sudden? If you notice, none of us bring up Pizzagate no more. I did a whole lecture, not really a lecture, but I did a Facebook Live from my research on Pizzagate, and nobody wanted to talk about it. Our people were scared. Our people are scared to talk about real shit. You see what I'm saying? What did Nephila Tree say? Catholic churches have statues glorifying pedophilia. Exactly. Steph, the chef, if your 13-year-old is not sleeping home back 30 years ago when all this started, where parents knew where the children were, I'm not sure how to respond to that. But here's the thing. What we're not going to do, what we need is, here's the thing, and this is just my personal opinion, what we got to stop doing is stop deflecting, and we got to deal with the actual perpetrator. Because what I notice we like to do, we like to victim blame. We like to, remember, the parents are also victims as well. And he didn't give a shit. R. Kelly didn't give a shit like that. I'm sorry. And again, this is not a take up for R. Kelly thing. I don't play games like that. Because again, I was sexually abused when I was 8 and also when I was 12. So when I saw the face of R. Kelly, the fact that he took pictures with his back turned, that means he was abused to the point where whoever was abusing him made him feel ashamed of what they were doing to him. That's a look. He had a look of shame on his face, and that's reality. We like to act like that didn't happen either. But so he was, in that regard, he was also a victim. But that doesn't give you the excuse to basically do the same thing that happened to you to other children. That's not right. And I'm not gonna take up for that foolishness and fuckery. That's bullshit. Not gonna do that. I don't agree with girls that are underage, and we know what underage is. So I'm not Toreg, and I'm not gonna ask the question. So, Do you like underage girls? And someone gonna and you know R. Kelly answered the dumbest answer for we know what underage means. We know what underage boy mean. We know all of that shit. So we need to stop playing games. And I'm not gonna play games with people. I don't play around like that. Think about it. If you was molested and it's women who've been with guys and it was statutory rape and they make it seem like it was okay. No, I'm sorry. Statutory rape is wrong regardless of who does it. Exactly. So back to the point, because I'm gonna jump around a lot here, but I'm gonna be honest here. Pizzagate is, think about it. All of us vote. For the most part, all of us still vote for white folks. We still look for good white people, or we still look for black folks to vote for. But yet, these same people that we vote for, whether it was Barack Obama or whether it was Hillary Clinton, they've all been indicated in Pizzagate. Am I right or wrong? And if you don't know this, shame on you for not looking up Pizzagate. Why haven't you looked up Pizzagate yet? But you want to hang R. Kelly in, you want to put him in the gallows. You know what I'm saying? Which I have nothing against that. But here's the thing. Let's keep this shit all the way real. Let's be real with it now. You have situations that right now black children are being trafficked by politicians. And this is in DC to this day. I don't remember the actual name of the actual pizzeria, because all that was on the Facebook Live I did over a year and a half ago. You can look it up on my YouTube page. But you're able to purchase a black child for your own sexual purpose to this day. You want to talk about child trafficking? Pizzagate is child trafficking. And it's going on again to this day. Where's the outrage from the white race? Why would it be? If the white man and white woman, if this is their way of life, why would they have outrage about what they do on a daily basis? Understand this, the white race creates sexual orientations, new sexual orientations every day. New ones. It'd be like, damn, a new one? Y'all done made up a new sexual orientation? You got the term pedosexual. You're going to hear the term pedosexual very soon. So all your outrage at R. Kelly and at Michael Jackson, I need you all to have the same outrage for when pedosexual becomes an actual orientation and Rome is alive and well in America. You understand what I'm saying? There's a reason why us of ancient Kemet or Black Africa did not deal with white folks like that. We left their ass in a cave. You understand? But yet it's crazy, but we want to marry them. It's crazy how you know the history of a race, but you still want to find a way to deal with them. You still want to find a way to make dealings with them. You still don't want to be honest with yourself about these individuals. Okay, I'm going to say Pizzagate as much as I possibly can because I want you to go up and look that shit up yourself. Let's keep that shit all the way real. Pizzagate is not a joke. Pizzagate is not a joke. They are trafficking children to this day. And they are able, and I'm going to say the names again. I'm going to say two names that you are very familiar with. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Prove me wrong. I dare you. Exactly. You won't, because you're still emotionally attached to not only R. Kelly, not only Bill Cosby and Michael Jackson, but you're emotionally attached to these same politicians that have been screwing you over all this time, and they're screwing your kids. There's also a documentary, if you can find it, that every once in a while is posted on YouTube. It's called Open Secret. I'm not sure if any of y'all ever heard of it. If you have ever heard of a documentary called Open Secret, our brother Professor Griff talked about it. He talked about it on one of his podcasts, I think with Brother Rich on Underground Radio. But Open Secret, I looked at some of it and it was very gruesome. And if you're not ready for it, you get ready. But Open Secret was also it was dealing with Hollywood and its extreme pedophilia. I mean, just think about it. Kevin Spacey, you go online, look up right now. Kevin Spacey is trying to run from his pedophilia. There's no real white outrage like that. Now they feel pressured to go get Kevin Spacey because there's the outrage on R. Kelly, so they feel like, well, let's make a white sacrifice, as Dr. Neely Fuller says. Let's go get a white sacrifice. We have no problem sacrificing Kevin Spacey for the situation that he's doing that they knew about and ain't say shit about. Now, did they? No. Well, they said stuff about it, but if they really cared, why was there any real need? They didn't go out of their way to say, okay, let's put this motherfucker in prison. Excuse me, nigga. Let's put this motherfucker in prison. Did they? No. You don't see any documentaries made about Kevin Spacey and pedophilia. You don't see that. See, they have no problem stringing up one of our own. We have no problem doing that. As much as we should be able to do the same thing to our own people. If one of our own people is doing something they're not supposed to be doing, string their ass up. But that same energy, you should do that to the same race of people who's stringing you up on a daily basis. Think about it. Something else that you should be outraged about, since we like to be selective. You have black kids, not black kids. You have black women in prisons in California who are being sterilized against their will. How come no one's talking about that on Facebook? The same sterilization tactics they use on black women during eugenics movement and during the time of the 60s when black women were applying for welfare. I mean, you had black women that were being sterilized and they agreed to it just to get paid. But you have women in California prisons who are being sterilized against their will because, once you go to prison, you give up all your rights. Where's the outrage for that? But back to Open Secret. Open Secret talks about all the pedophilia in Hollywood, the demonic rituals of sacrificing children, and you have like Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, from The Lost Boys and Goonies and stuff like that. The child actor, I think one of them, if not both, one of them were addicted to crack cocaine, and one of them, I think, committed suicide. He OD'd. The only one that's still alive was Corey Feldman. I think barely. But they talk about that's Hollywood is another way of reenacting Rome, just on an even more extreme level, because most of who own Hollywood are the proselyte Jews, the Zionists, and that's their way of life. So we just got to be honest with ourselves. Let's be honest with ourselves. Talk back to me, sent you a friend request. But yeah, that's Open Secret. Hopefully you all will do your research on it. I'm not done yet, but hopefully you all will do your research on Open Secret. Just go online and look up Open Secret, and you can go on YouTube or just look it up in the search engine on Google. Just put in Open Secret movie pedophilia. And you're gonna find some stuff that you should be looking at right now and being outraged about, and it's gonna really thing is, us as a people, we should be outraged about pedophilia as a whole. We can't pick and choose when we're outraged about that shit because it makes us look real weak. It makes us look, Corey Haim killed himself. I think he OD'd on heroin. He either was heroin or crack. That was a purpose situation. Yeah, he was molested in such a severe degree that he was like, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? So same thing, but we got to be honest with ourselves. Michael Jackson was sleeping with little boys. How come there was no outrage about that? It was zero outrage. Because again, it was an emotional attachment to a specific star. Bill Cosby admitted that he drugged women. And to this day, it's people who are lobbying me like, no, he was set up, he was trying to buy NBC. I'm like, which I don't I don't doubt that he tried to buy NBC, and that may have. I think it was really more of a thing where, and this is personal. I don't know. It's just my opinion. I'm entitled to this. What I think went down is that people like him, and then you have people like what's the brother, Quincy Jones. They were all involved in a lot of sex rituals in Hollywood and with the Jews in the 60s and the 70s. That was what they did. This is what it was. And it was like whites just decided to dry snitch. Everyone knows what dry snitching is. I'm not going to explain that. But it's like whites was like, well, shit, these are niggas. We can put their business out there. And that's what they did with Bill Cosby. Like, basically, whites was basically dangling this shit over his head for years. And it was like, damn. He knew what was going to pop off. Because it was already out there, but people didn't know the magnitude of what he was going. When I'm talking about Bill Cosby, they didn't know the magnitude of the situation. So this was again an open secret, and R. Kelly was living an open secret for years. He was able to duck it because he was able to pay a lot of these women, the parents, off. Like, just think about it. You had Sparkle's niece, and Sparkle's niece was the one that he pissed on tape. You know what I'm saying? On tape. Did she come out and say anything? Nope. Why? Because she was paid off. The family was paid off. That was the only reason why he didn't go into prison for child pornography. He had it. It was like he had boxes of tapes, boxes of film, and all of it. R. Kelly's a sick bastard who should be under the ground. But let me take you back. And take you back to a movie. It's a movie called Goodbye Uncle Tom. Everybody who's really about Black Power knows about Goodbye Uncle Tom. If you don't know about Goodbye Uncle Tom, go online and look up on YouTube Goodbye Uncle Tom. And the thing is, I'm going to slavery because it's about slavery. The movie's about slavery. There was a period in slavery where it was no longer about what we was picking, in terms of picking cotton, picking grain, picking tobacco. We picked enough of that. So at some point, we just became sex slaves. We became breeders. So we became bucks. And so once the slave trade was over and they could no longer, legally go and kidnap Africans, they just started using black people to breed more Africans and breed more slaves. But you also had pedophilia camps in America, right? People know this. Pedophilia camps. You had little black boys and girls that were painted gold, silver, bronze. I think it's bronze or copper, and that defined your price on the market in these sex camps that whites were controlling, right? And you know this. And whenever a white person wanted to come, even if it was like a random white person, and they wanted to watch a breed situation go on, meaning watch a black woman get raped by a black buck consistently, all you had to do was pay for it. It's like watching porn. It's like porn. That should outrage the fuck out of you as a black person. But you know why? Because Pizzagate mirrors it to this day. I hate to laugh, but it's the truth. I'm sorry, it is. It's real shit. And sometimes what they would do is they would my bad, I'm waving y'all. I'm waving at y'all. Hopefully y'all wave back at me. But wow, it's crazy to think about. But yeah, white people would pay. You had regular white people would go to these camps, and this is in the movie. And you gotta realize this movie was created out of documentation from Europeans who came over from Europe to America because they wanted to see what slavery was really about. And the time barrier was between 1860 to 1865. See, the white race wants to, they like to compete with themselves to see how much of a devil they can really be. And I've noticed that from just studying the white race. They like to compete. Even to this day with Pizzagate, they are competing. See, because they can't legally do this where people can watch it, but then they can legally have porn where you can look at child porn all the time. But no one's outraged about it. Right? You got little girls to this day on the open market doing regular porn, and we're paying for it. Where's outrage? These are not our websites. These are white websites that they create to exploit women and children. Why are we so quiet about these things? Because we're selective again. See, we allow algorithms, which is created by a black man, by the way, to control what we're outraged about. See, again, all pedophiles be on the ground, and that's the truth. If you don't like that, that's up to you, man. You got issues with yourself. You got to deal with that shit. But then you got situations like Pizzagate, where these same people who are outraged, they don't have nothing to say because they're scared of white people. That's the truth. So again, if you want to keep it 100 with yourself, be outraged about everything. See, I hate the fact that black women had to go to white women again with their outrage against a black man. But if we don't have the avenue to actually deal with our issues, then you can't really get mad at that. But that's our reality. We have to go to our open enemy with our problems again. That's our reality. And see, again, going back to Goodbye Uncle Tom, that's why I said at one point on Facebook, we're a conquered group of people. We're conquered. I can admit that. Black men as a whole are conquered. We don't know what to do in situations where we're supposed to fight. Most of the time we flight, or we have passive responses to the situation, such as I'm just going to stand there and watch, or I'm going to take out my camera phone and take pictures. It's on some bullshit. So we are a conquered group, but the thing is, you have to own the abuse. Abuse people have to own the abuse. You have to take on the role of victim, and then at some point take on the role of a person who is triumphed over what's happening to them. See, when I was molested at 12, this individual was trying to groom me. He made me watch stuff that to this day I can't get out of my head. But day by day, I'm learning that this stuff is like, it's time to go. And I'm learning this. And I've been dealing with this shit for years. As a black man in America, we're told that we have to hide all the things that we've been through. We want to hide all the shit that we've been through psychologically that destroys us inside, because we're never emotionally available to the women who are supposed to be our natural counterpart. Let me see if I can go down and see if anybody said anything. Hold up. My man's wrong. Yep. So, it's real. It's real. It's like, wow. Like, we're not honest with ourselves as men. We're not real with the women that we're with about things that happened to us as children, so that we can actually move forward and get rid of those demons. I had let me see, do you want to tag Othello in this video? Yeah, we're not honest. It's like, for me, I began abusing drugs at some point, and I'm just learning to deal with it, and I moved forward from that same issue. I was trying to compartmentalize demons through syrup and X, and that was ridiculous. So, me personally, I've learned to, and I thought I would never get to that point, but again, that was my situation that I'm learning to deal with myself. It was addiction. Addiction's real in our community, but day by day, I was able to deal with it, and that's real. But again, we have to be honest with ourselves, man. We gotta look up stuff. I don't take them out of anything, and we can't be afraid of being honest about what's happening to us to this day. Again, and I'm gonna say Pizzagate till I'm blue in the face on this. You gotta look up Pizzagate. Stop letting white folks tell you what's real and what's fake, cause they'll do that all day. You understand what I'm saying? They'll do that shit all day, just so you don't have to focus on what they're doing to you, cause they never stopped. Cause just think about it like this: do you really think the slave trade in Libya, AFRICOM, you don't think that had any pedophilia in it at all? Come on. To the victors go the spoils. And most of the time, the spoils are children and our women. Let's be honest, man. Let's be real with this. So again, this is not a deflection conversation. This is an honest conversation. You know what I'm saying? We got to be real. If we're gonna bury R. Kelly, we need to start learning how to go after the people who has created this whole system of pedophilia in our midst. Again, I did a whole conference call on pedophilia becoming a sexual orientation. The term minor attracted people is a real statement in the white community. That's why they don't mind showing you certain stuff, because they're grooming you as a society, as a black society, to be okay with it, because you're not saying anything about it, so obviously you don't care. But most of us are very uninformed about what's happening around us until whites socially engineer you to care. That's the reality. So again, I don't want to take too much more of y'all's time. Thank you all for whoever came on and listened, and Hotep.